You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie 'em to the ground. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at. Be turning back around. You can't stop me.
Hi everybody, it's me again, Jamie. We're gonna show you around what we've been up to last month. Come along. First we had to set out the outer diameters of the house so that we know where to make our excavations. I have the excavations marked out like this so that the excavator knows exactly where to dig the holes where I want them to be. You can see it's almost like a bomb went off over here. So I made some markers like this one over here, so I know exactly where the lines of the house are. So we can later pull up strings like you can see over there, and that way we can determine exactly where our footing is going to be. This is a footing we're going to pour today. As you can see, we have a high water table in this lot, so we're going to be making underwater concrete. That's quite nice. So we designed some boxes that we put into the hole, so that way the dirt, sand cannot calve into the hole, so you get a nice square hole. So once we put those boxes in, we determine the height of our columns, set in the columns, the rebar of the columns, and then go about in pouring underwater concrete. So here you can see these strings, they are exactly at the outer walls of the house, so that way we can determine where the rebar of our footing is going to be. And then once we're done with all of that, we pour our column here and then fill the holes back up, and then we got our foundation. One thing I noticed in the Dominican Republic is that a lot of houses are not built square. So the floor will not be perfectly square like this triangle. Then you get your ceramics in, and one piece of ceramic will be bigger than the other one to make up for it. So I wanted to share a really nice way to make sure your house is going to be perfectly square, and that is the Pythagorean theorem. It's a method that's been around for thousands of years. Even before the Egyptian period it was used, and it's very simple, but still but few people use it. So the idea is, in order for a right triangle to calculate this length, you take the square of this leg, multiply it by the square of this leg, and then the outcome of that, you take the square root, and then you get the exact length of this one. So now, with this formula, you can set out a real big triangle, like 20 meters that way, 30 meters that way, and be perfectly square. Real easy. So I would also like to share about mixing concrete and what to look for, because well, it's very important when you mix a batch of concrete that you know exactly what goes in that batch. You cannot just be shuffling sand and gravel. You want to know what's in there. Therefore, we measure that in buckets. Each bucket contains 10 liters. So in this particular mixture, we're going to mix 4 buckets, so that's 40 liters of fine gravel. Mix that with 4 buckets, so also 40 liters of coarse gravel. We mix that with sand, 8 buckets, so 80 liters. And all of that is mixed with 1.5 of the big buckets of cement. That's a 5-gallon bucket. We put the 1.5 bucket of that one in there.
How many liters will be in 1.5 buckets?
1.5 bucket will be 25 liters of cement. So all ingredients are measured by volume. And since we're making underwater concrete, in this case, we're also adding 2 different kinds of additives. One is an acrylic additive, and the other one is a plasticizer. So that way you can reduce the water content. So the water content is also a key part in a good mixture of concrete, because well, you want to use, basically what they told me is water in concrete is a necessary evil. That's what they told me in college.
What college did you go to?
Technical University in Delft, the Netherlands.
Nice.
Yes. So you want to keep water content as low as possible. Even if it's a little bit harder to work with, you really want it a low water content. So, as you might have noticed, this particular lot has a high water table. That means that the footings are going to be underwater. We're going to be pouring underwater concrete. Now, there's different ways to do that. For instance, you could build something that's called a cofferdam. That way you just insert like barriers into the ground, pump the whole area dry and do your construction there. But that's a method that's basically only used in large commercial constructions. This is a fairly simple footing. You could, different ways to go about. So I wanted to show you 2 more methods. One is called the traming method. That's basically the usage of a pipe for pouring concrete, which you stick into the water, so that when you pour your concrete through the pipe, the concrete does not get mixed with the water until it reaches its final position. So I'm going to demonstrate that by pouring sand in this case. You see, if this would be the hole that we were going to pour the footing, then we would put the trammy pipe into here until it reaches the bottom. You then pour your concrete. Slowly raise the trammy pipe, and then your concrete stays at the bottom instead of swirling all around in your hole. Yeah, another way, that's the way that we are going to use right now. Let me just get this out of here. So what we are doing over here, we pump the hole dry, put in our formwork, then pour the concrete into the formwork. So let's see, the concrete is in this case sand. Pour it into the formwork, and then water table slightly rises back up to its level, but the concrete is already in there, and the concrete will cure just fine. And then when your concrete is cured, you just take out the formwork, and then you got your footing right there. That's what we do over here. Okay, so what you're going to be seeing now is we're going to make about 10 batches of concrete more or less for the one footing. Don is going to be at the quality control of the mill, so he will check if the right amount of bucket of each aggregate goes in. I will be in the hole dumping the first batch of concrete myself, so then I push out the little bit water that's still in the hole, and after that we're going to fill the hole slowly up from down upwards, that it will slump to the side of the formwork. I just wanted to show you, it's important that rebar in the footing has got the right amount of concrete coverage. So for instance, the rebar cannot be sitting on the ground, it got to be elevated off the ground so the concrete goes underneath it. If your rebar is not embedded in the concrete, might as well throw it in the sea. Now he is not allowed to enter the concrete in the water, it has to be on top of the pile. So now this pile will expand the water out of there. Alright, so now we got, as you see, all the concrete in here. We sucked every last bit of water out, so there's absolutely no washing of cement here. And now I'll stick a vibrator in it to really compact it. Important with vibrating is not vibrate too much, but also not too little, of course. That's it. That takes all the air pockets out of there. And well, I guess thank you all for watching. I'll be on making the rest of these footings and then I'll show you next time. Thanks for your time.
You can't stop me now.